أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Madam Chair, Commissioners, Lead Counsel, viewers and listeners, members of the press, good morning. Welcome once again to our daily proceedings of this Commission of Inquiry into Local Government Councils and related matters. For our next item on our today's agenda, I have the honor to yield the floor to Madam Chair. Madam Chair, over to you.
Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I will call on Honorable Sila to lead us in Muslim prayers and Honorable Joyner to lead us in Christian prayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض. من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يأتون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يعوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بالفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر حاسد إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بالناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر وسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Holy Father, our chief cornerstone, we give you hearty thanks and praise for today. We have numerous reasons to glorify your name. You have been faithful to us in diverse ways, and we return all adoration to your Father, to you, our Father. We cannot do without you. Let your glory be seen in our lives as we meet old friends and make new ones along the way. Open your floodgates above and pour out your heavenly blessings upon us. Stretch forth your mighty hand upon us today. Guard and bless our fatherland, and may your Holy Spirit continue to be our guide this day, henceforth, and forevermore. Amen.
Good morning, Madam Witness. You may kindly take your seat. Madam Witness, for continuation of your testimony before this Commission of Inquiry into Local Government Councils and related matters, I want to remind you that we are still under oath before I hand you over to Madam Chair for us to proceed. Thank you. Madam Chair, over to you.
Good morning, Ms. Jai.
Good morning, Ma.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ma.
Council, we may proceed.
Yes, yesterday you were explaining your encounter with the CEO.
Nena dema linga ondi natali fi moye te hati abinga mune budohon sa digante ak CEO bi.
Wow, degala.
Yes, that is true.
And the correspondences you had with him and GPPA as well.
Ak tondu ante binga mune amna sa digante ak mom ak GPPA.
Wow, lolu tam degala.
Yes, that is correct.
So when were you redeployed to the raids unit?
Nena kany lañ la tohuwat buñ la tohuwon yobu wala si.
Munna ma balal ma check through suma lebi ma set ko.
If I am given time, let me just check my distance.
Um, 22nd July 2020.
22nd July 2020.
They tell you why you were redeployed?
Nena nda dañ la leral wala dañ la waxon lu tax ñu tohu la fofu.
Mom lim state si letambe moy pour ñu gëna déwéral ak defaraat procurement unit be ak procurement matters ci biir council be.
What he wrote on the letter was that to sit on it so that we can be able to straighten the procurement and
procurement matters.
Procurement matters.
Ak ñu ngi xaar pour service commission bi pour propose recruitment.
And they were waiting for the service commission to
propose recruitment.
Proposed recruitment.
So did you agree to the transfer to the rates department, knowing fully well that the area that you have studied is procurement?
Nena kon na danga mu jona nango pour ñu taxal la fofu si rate department te yow sa bopa yow la tax yow ne yow xam-xam mi nga xam bobu affaire procurement la.
Déedéet nanguwuma.
No, I did not agree.
So what happened after that? Please
Nena bi nga bañé lan mo happen lan mo xewon.
Bi ma yónnee loolu man it dama ko bina pour tontu ko pour won ko ne ko man suma field comme suma profession nekkut ne comme si rates department bi la.
When I was written, I then rewrite to them to show them that my experience is not about.
Te moom xam na lu te suma work experience si rates unit.
I don't have that experience in the rates unit.
Parce que man ñoom am naa jaar te ñoom xam nañ loolu ne comme through my educational background.
And they know that I have some difficulties because, and they've been aware that my education background.
Defna.
Okay, please proceed.
I did.
Defna procurement courses you hamne through mom under his leadership.
I did many procurement courses through under his leadership.
So yobu masi rates unit be.
To transfer me or to take me to the rates unit. I don't see that I will have anything that I can be able to do therein.
Now, at some point, you received a letter.
Then on the
27th of July 2020.
2020.
But before this, you complained, you wrote a letter to the permanent secretary, Mr. Buba Sanyang.
Nena wabalali yaw da nga complain on nga dal li bind letter si Buba Sanyang.
Wa lolu degala.
Yes, that is true.
Please tell us about that.
Nena nga leral ñu si lolu.
Parce que li nga laajte suma redeployment to the rates unit.
The question you've been asked about my redeployment to the unit.
Ma turn to the head of the management, the CEO.
I then talked to the head of the management, and that was the CEO. And I see nothing that they have done.
Audience pulgis the permanent secretary to our line ministry.
There I pray for audience so that I can be able to see the permanent secretary.
Moy Buba Sanyang by then.
Buba Sanyang at the time.
Legi bima sige audience ma am kena kima andal kokotam he was the chairman of the finance committee at council.
When I said audience, that I have somebody whom I was accompanied with, and he was
the chairman of the finance committee.
The chairman of the finance committee.
Ñu anda si permanent secretary.
When we went to the permanent secretary,
my frustrations we made them through at the council.
I then explained to them the frustration that I went through at the council.
Mom permanent secretary Buba Sanyang.
Then he himself, the permanent secretary, that's Buba Sanyang,
personally.
He said to me, let me write to him personally.
Ma address ko si mom ma wako everything that transpired suma digante man ak CEO be ak luy xew bir council.
And address it to him and explain thoroughly everything that went wrong or went between myself and council.
Te mangi amé copy letter bobu nono.
And here I had the copy with me.
Why dem na fofu after audience bama am ak mom yeb.
But I went there, all the audience that happened I had with him.
Gisuma dara lo xamne tam def na ko ci lo xamne tax na things change.
And I see nothing from him, or I don't see any effort that he did up to make things change.
Copy letter bi mom mo nek ne.
This is the copy letter that I had.
This is a letter you wrote to the permanent secretary, Mr. Buwasanya.
Nena bi mo neka letter bi nga xamne bi nga waxe legi ni ne da nga bindon permanent secretary moy Buwasanya.
Wa mom la.
That's exactly the letter.
We applied to have the letter admitted into evidence and marked accordingly. It is dated the 27th of July 2020.
A letter dated the 27th of July 2020, addressed to the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Local Government and Lands. It has the subject redeployment. The letter is signed by Njie, Acting Procurement Officer. This letter is admitted in evidence as an exhibit and it is marked as LGC/BCC/IN/004.
As the Commission places. Now, after this letter, you did not see any results.
Binga binde letter bi boy be legi gislo dara wala gislo ben results.
Gisuma ben results after letter B.
After this letter I did not see any results.
Now, after this, on the 27th of July 2020,
Then I will pass 27th of July audit 2020.
the CEO, Mustafa Abachili, wrote to you,
Then the CEO Mustafa Bachili Bobala Dalila Binda,
accusing you of fraudulent activities.
Dila tabwe tu mine danga def ay tapale yo xamne andu tak liggey bi moy fraudulent activities.
Lolu degala.
Yes, that is true.
Please explain that.
Nena mun nañu leral fofu.
Bim joge ci permanent secretary.
When I came from the permanent secretary,
Mom, the head of the management, my CEO.
for him as the head of the management, as the CEO,
Dama talk receive letter from the messenger.
it happens, I sit one time, I received a letter from the messenger,
Mu joge ci mom.
and the letter was from him.
Mu state ne man.
There he stated that
Ne daf ma accused of fraudulent activities.
that he accused me of fraudulent activities.
Bima ko gisee sa ree moo ma jàppoon.
When I saw the letter, I laughed.
So bima read the letter bi thoroughly.
When I went or read the letter thoroughly,
Man tam ma respond back to letter ambe.
I then responded to his letter.
Te bima respond back to letter ambe.
And when I was responding to his letter,
Dama copy internal auditor bi, the director, acting director of internal audit by then.
I copied to the acting director of internal audit at the time.
Pour mom as ne mom mo nekk ne mom moy kisi affaire li ci biir office bi comme njublan wala luy dem yoon yépp mom through internal audit bi ñoko wara seet.
Because he was the person or he was in charge to investigate everything or all things working or going or happening in the offices.
So if I told ne mom CEO bi daf ma accuse of fraud.
If I told now the CEO have accused me of fraud,
Dafa waroon a jóge itam from the internal audit.
then it should come from the internal audit.
Moo tax bi ma bindee letter bi di ko tontu.
That's why when I wrote to respond to him,
Dama copy the internal auditor.
I copied the internal auditor
Pour ñu won ma any fraudulent activity bu ma musa def in council.
so that they can show me all or any fraudulent activity that I have done in council.
Why through our correspondence,
But through our correspondence,
lima gis moy bima ko tonto be pare copy the internal auditor.
what I see or what I realized was when I responded to him and I copied to the internal auditor
si particular issue of fraud bi ma accused
about the particular issue of fraud that I was accused of.
waaye si suñ correspondance yëpp tontootut si loolu.
But all the correspondence we did, he have never responded to that.
maa ngi amee a copy of that letter too with me.
And I had a copy of letter with me here.
May I please see those?
Mun na gis letter yooyu.
This is your reply?
Yes, that was my...
Tonto.
Waa loolu mooy suma tontu.
Yes, of course.
Do you have the letter that was written to you?
Nena letter bi nga xam ne moom daf la ko bindoon ndax yaa ngi ko amee.
Suma mu ne may ma dem through ma xool si.
Yes, if I'm given time, let me just go through and see.
Déedéet amee ma ko fi unless ma dem back ma indi ko suma ñëw.
Unfortunately, I did not come along with it unless if I go back and I check.
Very well. We apply to tender the response to the CEO's accusation of fraudulent activities directed to the witness on the 26th of August 2020 into evidence as an exhibit.
A letter dated the 26th. Ms. Njie, is it 26 or 28?
I think it's 26.
26, thanks. The letter dated the 26th of August 2020, addressed to Mr. Bacheli with the subject redeployment. The letter is signed by Njie, Acting Procurement Officer. It is copied to the Mayor, PS, Ministry of Local Government and Lands, Chairman Local Government Service Commission, Director General GPPA, Chairman Establishment Committee, Acting Director of Internal Audit, and a file copy is maintained. This letter is admitted in evidence as an exhibit and it is marked as LGC/BCC/IN/005.
As the Commission places. Now, you want to say something before I?
No, that's okay. Let's continue.
May I please read the letter dated the 27th of July 2020 with respect to the redeployment addressed to the former Permanent Secretary, Minister of Local Governments and Lands, Mr. Buba Sanyang. It reads, I would like to bring to your attention the frustrations I am currently facing at Banjul City Council as an Assistant Procurement Officer who has now been redeployed with immediate effect to the rates unit without indicating the position to fill. It is my fervent belief that my redeployment has to do with the letter I have written to the CEO recently, dated the 1st of July 2020, in which you have been copied in. The culture of top-down workforce frustration has become the order of the day, and it has resulted in a negative emotional state. Subsequently, adverse aspects of the work environment now outweigh the positive. I was appointed as the Assistant Procurement Officer, acting from 2014, and since been facing numerous frustrations to date. Although I had little respite after the inception of the newly employed Deputy CEO Fadutal, she observed that I was always inactive or dormant on a daily basis, thus expressed her concerns for and subsequently invited me into the mayor's office to have a one-to-one with her. This gave me the opportunity to express all my frustrations as a procurement officer in this institution, and more especially rendered totally useless because, ironically, procurement was being done by everyone but me. We discussed the way forward and the measures to mitigate the poor compliance of GPPA's rules and regulations within the BCC in all procurement processes. Henceforth, she wrote a memo to all department heads and employees regarding procurement. Please see attached the copy of the memo. After the memo from Deputy CEO circulated, procurement was going on smoothly, and I was finally given my dues and became very proactive in my role. However, this was short-lived, and the culture of poor compliance commenced again as the CEO himself started to bypass me and the rules and set GPA procedures of procurement, giving executive directives / authorization to the finance department to process payments without the rightful rules, documentations, regulations, and the set procedures by GPPA. Personnel from different departments were going out to scout for invoices. Again, CEO would direct or authorize the finance department to complete payments and then try to convince me to sign and attach the GPA forms, that's Form 100, which I reject to protect my ethics and integrity. The only support came from the auditor's department, that is the acting director of internal audit, who would minute for procurement officer to act accordingly and input the necessary GPA forms and payment vouchers to follow due process, and also refuse to sign or endorse payments himself. However, the CEO will still authorize the payments. Sir, the most recent encounter with him, which I believe is also part of the reason for my redeployment, was the issue of procurement plan, which he assigned the acting finance manager to finalize. GPPA, as the governing body of the procurement, sent an email in response to the procurement plan BCC submitted, just as a reminder that the procurement plan should be completed by the BCC procurement officer. In response to their email, the CEO implied that I am not committed to my work and all I ever do is scout for invoices, which in actual fact is part of my duties and responsibilities as a procurement officer. Being accused of not committed to my role, especially when he is the one who makes it very difficult when he bypasses set rules and procedures because of his role as the head of the admin, and my refusal to sign documents in process. I was never part of, does not imply that I am not committed to or being disobedient. As the permanent secretary of our land ministry, I would like to notify you that the CEO has falsified my signature in fake minutes dated 8th of June, which we did not sit for, and sent to GPA with bidding documents without my consent, which I, as the acting procurement officer, should have submitted to the GPA, and also without the notification of the contracts committee. He personally sent me a memo attached with a copy of a letter from GPA asking him to regularize my signature for the dates of 8th June and 23rd of June. They also asked him to send all sample signatures of the contract committee members with their contact numbers, but I declined to authenticate my signature unless I see the said contracts committee meeting of the 8th of June 2020, which I neither attended nor signed for. This was the last conversation I had with him to date. Please also find attached a copy of a memo written by a former colleague in the procurement unit, dilating his frustration on the unprofessional handling of procurement in the institution, which led to his resignation. I am kindly soliciting your support as I would like to continue being a procurement officer as well as have other new members to support a specialized procurement unit. I have been in an acting role for 6 years and would like to be confirmed finally for security. So with high regards to your esteemed office, yours sincerely, Ida Njie. You wrote this letter?
Yes. And I have been no letter. Yes, I do.
And you had explained an incident where your signature was forged.
Nena amna jamano nga amne wax nga ne amna lu xewon moy incident li nga xamne nga ne sa signature bi dañ ko forge.
Degala lolu degala.
That is true.
Te lolu joge wo ci man.
And that was not from me.
Dafa joge ci a governing body.
It was from the governing body
of the procurement the Gambia Public Procurement Authority fofu la joge.
Of the Gambia Public Procurement Authority.
Were you able to have access to the 2 minutes? Were you able to have access to that minutes of the 8th of June 2020?
Did
8th of June 2020. Na minutes yo munga o jot ngalon.
Jotuma ko motax man tam ma bañ ne man duma authenticate ma signature comme lim ma sen pour ma parce que dama demand ne na ma jox the minutes bu wax ne already sit nañ pour that contracts committee meeting te lolu happened.
No, I did not got it. This is why. No, I did not get the minutes because this is why I refused to.
Toguñ pour 8 June bobu nonu.
We did not sit for that 8th of June.
Minutes 8 June.
That is why I said to him that let him first provide those minutes of 8th of June.
So provide sample signature.
When it is provided to me, then I will be giving my sample signature.
In fact, it's for the 8th of June and 23rd of June as well.
8th of June and 23rd of June. That is true.
And as far as you are concerned, you did not attend any contracts committee meeting.
Attend contracts meeting.
Attend the contracts committee meeting the 24th of June 2020.
I attended the contract committee meeting. This was 24th of June 2020.
Bola attend.
That is the one I attended.
But not 23rd of June 2020.
But never on 23rd.
23rd of myself a memo pool invite me for a sitting at 24th of June.
On the 23rd, that was the very day I was served with the memo for the sitting of the 24th of June.
Do you have the memo that was written to you by the CEO for you to sign?
Did it?
No.
Parce que Kim ko joxone moy de den may his soul rest in peace. Soon late messenger be Uncle Baluta Dabo.
The letter was given to the late Uncle
Baluta
Dabo.
While mom la ko jox.
That is the one he gave the letter to.
So mune kom kadama bañ mangi request for 8th of June minutes yoy nono.
As far as he said, I refused because I was requesting for the minutes of the 8th of June.
Mu wax ko ne ko nako delo wa documents sim ko jox pour mu indil mako.
He said to him that let him return all the documents that he have given to him so that he can give it to me.
Why am I access to lolo no?
But I did not have access to that.
So what follows after that? What followed?
After lolo bum hewe,
when that happens,
there were so many correspondence between digante ak mom.
All those days there was much correspondence between myself and him.
Why time I was at my lowest. Come pull a problem pull man.
At that time I was in the lowest because even to wake up and come to work, I feel a problem. It was hard for me to do so.
Parce que nga wara nga dem ci place bo xamne da nga fogg ne fofu da nga fa wara proactive da nga wara li way ñu def la nga dormant.
But anytime you wake up thinking that you will go to a place to make progress, but they always make you dormant therein.
Te emun ci lolu rek.
And it was not only that.
Parce que harassment was too much.
And the harassment was high on me. It's too much.
Not only mom as the head of the management.
Not him alone as the head of the management.
Why I am no that they are allies to the mayor.
But there are some people who allies to the mayor himself.
dañ la jox seen verbal naka la tudd dañ la saaga verbally.
They do insult you verbally.
Who are these people?
Mooy the likes of Makumba Sane.
The light of Makumba Sane.
Who is Makumba Sane?
Mooy the advisor to the mayor.
That is the advisor to the mayor.
Te su dee Madam Chair mun na ma permit dafa am.
I am permitted by Madam Chair.
Dafa am lu ma bëgg a bring to her notice.
I want to bring something to her notice.
Démba bu ma ñibbee back home.
It happens yesterday when I left back home.
I had from reliable sources.
I heard from reliable sources.
You know the mayoress of Banjul.
That they said the mayoress of Banjul.
Ne man maa ko tudda fii.
Said I name her here, right?
Why moom it su dee ñëw na fii ne jox nañ ko the audience.
But when she to come here and she is giving the audience.
Dina ma waxal loo xam ne.
She will say something about me that is.
Loo xam ne sax du dëgga.
That will not even to be true, or that is not true.
Ma bëgg ko bring to the notice of Madam Chair.
That is what I just want to alert or put to the notice of the high table or Madam Chair.
So nu ma continue mooy.
And now I'm going.
Sorry, Ms. Njie.
Yeah.
What you have brought to our notice is noted.
Yes. Thank you, ma.
Thank you, ma.
Léegi maa ngi continue.
I'm going ahead now.
Si li ma council laaj.
What council asked me.
Li ma doon jànkuwanteel after loolu.
All after what I was going through.
It was a day-to-day nightmare at B.C.C.
This was a day-to-day nightmare at B.C.C.
Pour yéene jóg liggéey sax duma ko bëgga. Duma bëgga dem jóg liggéey.
Sometimes I don't even like to go to work.
Why, with the support of Sandigi Njie, the admin manager.
But with the support of Sandigi Njie, the acting manager. Admin manager.
Fatou Tall, the then deputy CEO.
Fatou Tall, the then deputy CEO.
ñoom dañ ma daan jàppale torop.
Those people, they were assisting me a lot.
su ma foogee ne tey daal déedéet.
If I say well today, no.
ñoom they were always by my side.
But they are always by my side.
di ma jokka courage.
To put more courage on my.
parce que an institution boo xam ne yaa ngi dugal see.
Because I'm like an institution of.
fi nga dugal see.
Where you enter it.
li nga njëkk a jot mooy sa si suba soosu noonu lan nga njëkk a jot mooy letter.
The first morning or in the early morning, if you get there, the first thing you receive is a letter.
te loolu moom dafa nekkoon loo xam ne is a continued process ma digganteeg moom.
And that was a continued process between myself and him.
te correspondence yi yëpp mu ngi fii.
And all these correspondence were filled.
léegi dem na ba a time boo xam ne.
And it went up to a time.
ma wàcc liggéey.
I closed from work.
ma ñibbi.
I went home.
si ëllëg si ma liggéey si waat.
The following day I came back to work.
ñëw pour ubbi office bi.
I intend to open my office.
ndeke dañ change locks yi.
And it happens the locks were changed.
So by then I was in the office with the EU project coordinator.
And at that time I was in the same office with the EU project coordinator.
Teacher by Usman Job. So no lack call.
I didn't call him. And I asked him what is going on because I tried my keys but to no avail. It cannot be able to open. He said to me, forgive me, I will call you back. And he just called me. And one of them within therein, he said to me, why can't you try to talk to the carpenter? Because yesterday it happens, I saw him at the door of your office. That is how I just went to Uncle Sering Mas. I then asked him to say, well, I heard that you are the person who changed my office locks. From the CEO. He said he have an authority or an order from the CEO.
Yusufa Jallo, the acting director of administration.
And Yusufa Jallo, the acting director of administration. They are the people who told him to change the locks.
So, that
I don't even explain anything.
No, acting admin manager bi office am.
That is how I used to go to the acting manager's office.
Why through lolu sax.
But through that,
koku dañ ko daan sonal ci man ak Fatou Tall niñ lay nekkee biir office am.
they used to disturb him about me and Fatou Tall because we used to go to his office.
Amut suppression buñ defut.
There is no suppression that they don't do to him.
Pour rek ñun ñu sori ko.
So that we can just be far from him.
Ma stobangum fofu council ba nga amaat leneen la ma laaj.
There, council.
I just have the exhibit LGC/BCC/IN/005, which is your response to which is a letter you wrote to the executive director. That is in response to the allegation of fraud that you have committed. What was the allegation of fraud?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Lolu motax man ma binda tontu ko parce que outline wut fenne li la def.
That was my reason why I even wrote to him responding, because he did not even point out what did I do.
Motax ma binda ko pour mu wax ne li la def tam at audit department bi tam mëna show evidence ne degala li la def.
That is why I wanted him to come directly and tell me exactly what did I do or did, so that this is why I want the audit to tell me exactly what did I do.
What was your grade level?
7.1.
7.1.
And in this letter, we have seen that you copied the ministry.
That is true.
Did the ministry respond?
Since
they were obliged to respond,
no, they
because
did not.
You copied them?
They did not respond.
No, they didn't.
Thank you. Council, you may proceed.
Yes. We also understand that you had an encounter in 2018.
Then I guess not about 2018 tamit am na 12 yi nga xamne dang ko amé won fofu.
Lolu deug la.
That is true.
Not tolof, an encounter. It was just an encounter with the in 2018 with respect to the purchase of furniture from JMAT.
Amna jamante wi nga xamne am nga ko sa digante pour mbiri jënd ay site purchase what
of furniture from JMAT
ak doman
lolu deug la council
from JMAT.
From JMAT. That is true.
This is contained in your additional statement of the 18th of March 2025.
Nena li nekk na ci sa second statement wala additional statement bi nga xamne 18th of March.
Can you please explain that?
Nena nda mon nga ñu leral fofu.
Wa jërëjëf council.
Thank you council for that.
2018 dafa am like ne dañ am a new mayor coming into office.
It likes we have a new mayor coming to our office.
After we win the mayoral election.
After they win the mayoral election.
So CEO will it to our attention.
The CEO
more wax ne daf ñu
calls us
pour ñu utal mayor bi ñëw Furnitures US.
For us to find new furnitures for the mayor coming.
Legi through lolu.
And through that then.
Mu ne nañ génn ñu dem seeti bagage pour moom.
He told us to go out and just look for those type of items.
Legi bu ma njëkk dem pour seeti bagage yooyu.
Then when I first go to inspect or check for those type of items.
Maa ngi àndoon ak the then Director of Finance, Mr. Abdoulaye Nyang.
I was accompanied by Abdoulaye Nyang, the then Director of Finance.
Pour ñu dem seet a befitting furniture for the incoming mayor.
So that we can go out and check for the fitting furnitures for the incoming mayor.
Noonu lañ nekkee di dem round.
That is how we were going round.
Parce que foo mën a dem da nga war a am tam sa invoices you need a supporting documents yoo xam ne mën nga attach pour sa paperwork si soo paree.
Because wherever you go you need an invoice and you need support documents that you are going to attach it.
So suñ dem round bi.
So when we went round,
dañ jiitu Ayub Trading.
we went to Ayub Trading.
ñu jógee fa dem Fatima's Trading.
From there, Fatima's Trading.
After lañ mujjee JMAT.
Then we lasted at JMAT.
buñ eegee JMAT.
When we get to JMAT,
ñu ngi tasee the current mayor Rohey Malick Lowe.
we met with the current mayor Rohey Malick Lowe.
mu ngi ànd ak ñaari góor.
And he was accompanied with 2 men.
kenn ki mooy Makumba Sané.
The other one was Makumba Sane.
By then moom mooy the campaign campaign manager am
At that time, he was her campaign manager.
waaye léegi moom mooy like an advisor to council.
But now he's like an advisor to council.
ak keneen ki mooy kenn si seen senior political party bi seen senior members yi la àndaloon.
And the other one was a senior member of her political party.
So noonu lañ tasee ñu nuyuwante.
When we met, we greeted each other.
mu introduce ma teamam bi.
And she introduced me to her team.
ma ne noonu laa ko introduce ak suma senior the then director of finance Mr. Abdoulaye Niang.
That is how I too introduce my senior director Mr. Abdoulaye Niang to
ma ne
her.
ko kii mooy suñ director of finance.
And said to her, he is our director of finance.
mu wan ma ne ma particularly.
She then showed me that particularly
moom fii la bëggee pour ñu jëndalee ko furniture same at JMAT.
this is the place where she wanted us to purchase her furniture at JMAT.
That is the mayoress.
The mayoress Rohey Malick Lowe.
Very well. She is the very person.
léegi mu ne parce que Talib Ahmed Bensouda KMC's mayor.
And now she said to us at Talib Ahmed Bensouda, that is the mayor of KMC.
fii la jëndee furniture same.
Here is the place where she purchased his furniture.
So moom it fii la prefer pour mu jëndee furniture same.
She too, she preferred her furniture to be purchased therein.
léegi ñu smile rek ñu nit ñu romba dem waxuñ ko wow na waxuñ ko tooy na.
We then smiled and nothing was said to her and we all went dispersed.
léegi after loolu.
From there,
Mr. Bachili ooyaat ma.
Mr. Bachili called me.
ne moom satisfied yu suma ànd ak director of finance be.
And said to me that he was not satisfied for my accompanied with the director of finance.
That's the CEO.
That's the CEO, Mustafa Amara Bachili.
Yes, that's the CEO, Mustafa Amara Bachili.
So mom personally he came to mom mu ñëw suñ kër pick me up.
He personally came to my home and picked me up.
ñu demaat the same route ñu demaat round pour outsource naka la tuddaati ñu seet sorry furniture si befitting one pour mayoress.
We did the same. We went round to check for the fitting furnitures for the incoming mayor.
So moom it upon buñ dellu seewaat back in office.
And when we came back to office,
mu oo ñu meeting.
he then summoned a meeting.
The then acting director of finance Mr. Cham.
Director of finance Mr. Cham.
Mr. Ibu Drame.
Mr. Ibu Drame.
The then acting director of internal audit Abdoulaye Jekor.
And the then director of internal audit unit Mr. Abdoulaye Jekor. When we were called,
politicians liñ buga.
And he said to us, the politicians, what they need or they wanted.
Loolu lañ leen a jox. Politicians liñ buga, what they want. Loolu lañ leen a jox.
Or the politicians, what they want is what we should give to them, or what should be given to them.
So ñu ne ko yow loo mean si loolu parce que ñoom ñu fa toog yëpp agree wuñ woon by them agree wuñ woon with lim ñu jox.
And we said to him, what do you mean that? Because, and it happens that all of us who were there, we did not agree to what he is going to give us or tell us.
So you am a push and pull them for them back and forth, push and pull, push and pull.
So it happens there was a push and pull between us and him.
Like mom, the nature he is like ñëpp xamee nañ ko loolu. Ne mom, ne comme mom ni mel ñëpp xamee nañ ko loolu.
Because we know how he is, we all know the way he is.
Ne mom, he has the final say.
And that he always, or he have the final say.
Then we are going with what the mayor wants.
That whatever the mayor wants is what that is what we are giving to him or her.
So
that is how we disperse from the meeting.
Why is this
But my doubts,
I'm not being a best before mayor be sworn in. It was well before mayor be sworn into office.
But all this happens before the mayor was sworn into office.
Legi buñ accès man ñu toog rek am ku ma laajte ci suma office.
But when we came, we seated down. Somebody asked me in my office.
ne ñoom dañ jógee from JMAT.
And said to me they are from JMAT.
te dañ amee suñ delivery note.
And they had our delivery note.
parce que dañ lekk procurement office bi ñu wan leen fa so ñu deliver the delivery note si man.
That is because they asked about the procurement office and it was pointed to them. This is why they delivered this to me.
Why delivery note bu ma gis.
But the delivery note that I saw.
Address bi it was addressed to Mr. Nyang.
The address was on Mr. Nyang.
Why as far as ne amee na nakala tuddaati document bi si suma loxo.
As far as I got the document in my hand.
dama dem through document bi.
I went through the document.
Before man ma def leneen.
Before I do anything.
So bu ma checkee through document bi.
When I went through the document.
ma gis ne Makumba Sane.
I saw or I realized that Makumba Sane.
A non-staff of Banjul City Council.
A non-staff of Banjul City Council.
dafa sign suñ delivery note.
Had signed on our delivery note.
loo xam ne it has caused alarm on me.
And that had caused alarm on me, I said.
So noonu laa demee yegg si kaw.
That is how I just went upstairs.
ma yóbbu lii bi naka la turaati delivery note bi si Mr. Nyang dem si Mr. Nyang.
I then took the delivery note to Mr. Nyang.
ma ne ko gis nga ñun luñ doon bañ yépp.
And I said to him, you see what we were refusing.
ma ne ko xoolal lii.
I said, look at this.
moom sax mu jaaxle.
She was surprised.
mu ne comme que lii it has been already done.
And he said to me, as far as it have already done now.
mu ne ma dama laa advice as.
I want to advise you as.
ku la gën a experience in the field.
That who got more experience on you on the field.
Trial nga am li as copies as much as possible.
Have this as copies as much as possible.
Friends.
For your future reference.
te tey loolu moom dàppa na si li ma dimbale tey si suma statement.
loolu moom.
bokk na si li ma dimbale si suma statement.
And that is something that is involved in my statements.
noonu laa ko ne ko why notwithstanding.
I said to him, but notwithstanding.
comme que document bi it was addressed to you.
As far as this document was addressed to you.
waaye man tam di ma jégal ma yóbbu ko si CEO himself pour wan ko ko.
But you too, I need you to permit me so that I can take it to the CEO for him to see it.
mu ne ma amul benn problème.
He said to me that there's no problem.
noonu laa demee ma knock on his door the CEO.
I went to CEO's door and I knocked the door.
mu ne ma dugga see.
She just gave me a green light.
bu ma duggee.
When I entered.
ma fekk Uncle Dauda Jones.
I found Uncle Dauda Jones.
The then clerk to council.
He was the then clerk to council.
So no la ko ne ko dama la buga gis.
I just said to him, but I want to see you.
At first, Uncle Dauda daf ñu doon buga excuse.
And after my uncle wanted to excuse us.
Why mom si papa mu ne ko mu toog.
But he himself told him not to go, to sit down.
Te man sa agree woon naa sax pour kooku mu toog pour mu serve as a witness.
And I agreed, let him be there so that he can serve as a witness.
Ma ne ko ñun liñ la doon bañal yépp tey.
I said to him, all what we were refusing today.
Lépp mu ngi nii clear na out ne it's stated.
Today it is clear and it is stated.
ma ne ko foog naa ne ku nekk am nga sa own field fi nga nekk.
Because I know everybody, you have your own field where you are.
te man dama la war a nekk sa advisor to this as a procurement officer man war naa la advise on procurement activities.
And for me, I think I should be an advisor to you, and I need to advise you as a procurement officer.
mu ne ma Miss Njie bàyyi sa wax yi they go straight to the point.
Then she said to me, Miss Njie, stop talking, you're talking, go straight to the point.
noonu laa ko ne ko xoolal ñun suñ delivery note.
I said to him, look at our delivery note.
A non-staff of BCC.
A non-staff of BCC.
war a sign suñ delivery note.
To sign this delivery note.
mu ne ma yow loo mean.
He said to me, what do you mean?
ma ne ko xoolal lee.
I said, look at this.
mu ne ma what.
He said, what?
mu ne ma waaye fooguloo nga use a corrector.
Use?
A corrector Tipex.
He said to me, hope we don't use, why can we use a Tipex or a collector?
Even Uncle Dauda bu toog ne ko yow lan ngaa wax no that is criminal.
And Uncle Dauda, even who was sitting, was saying to him that, what do you mean? That is criminal.
parce que kii su waree use a corrector pour mu def fa insert fa turam yow sax nekkuloo di jàppale xale bi.
Because if she did the same as you said, to use the incorrect to scratch and put her name therein, that means you are not assisting her.
So mu request the document from man.
Then he requested that document from me.
Te xamut ne man I have several copies and I have shared it with some of my close people ñoo xam ne share naa leen these copies.
Without knowing that I had some copies and I have shared these copies to some of my close people.
So dafa foogoon ne moom original copy bi moom moo ko amee and keneen amee with that.
So he was
kenn mënut a tamper with that document.
He was thinking that because of the original document was in his hands, nobody can be able to have at the same type or tampered with the same document.
The document bi mu ngi nii ak man.
And that document is here with me.
Parce que am na yeneen attached invoices parce que JMAT si boppam sax.
Because it have some attached voucher attack and JMAT itself
metutoon suñ requirements.
Did not meet our requirement.
Fatima Trading. moom mooy one the most responsive.
Was the most responsive.
Talking about cost.
About cost.
A quality of the furnitures.
Quality of the said furnitures.
No, li transpired.
That is how it transpired.
What about the cost?
Then a cost we know I check it.
Cost bi JMAT dafa charge at 337,000.
JMAT was charge was $337,410. $410.
Whilst Fatima Trading.
Whilst at Fatima Trading.
mu ngi charge at 296,000.
We are charged 296,000.
Thank you very much. May I please see? And where this was this furniture delivered?
Man hanga nekuma fa won bu gaay di wacce bagage.
You know, I did not go there when they were offloading this.
So munuma wax na furniture deliver nañ ko or not.
So I cannot tell whether it have been delivered or not.
As far as you're concerned, all you have seen is a delivery note.
That's true.
Delivery note.
Yes,
that is correct.
Right. We apply to tender.
Sorry, the delivery note is here. Those are the invoices.
Those are the invoices. I got the delivery note here.
Apply to tender 2 invoices and 1 delivery note. The first is an invoice from JMAT. The date is 28th of May 2018. The amount is $337,410. The second is an invoice from Fatima Trading. The date is 25th of May 2018. And the amount is $296,000. And there is a delivery note from JMAT Furniture and Carpets, Keraba Avenue, Banjul, the Gambia. And the receiver of the said furniture is Makumba Sane. The telephone number is 7363893, and the signature attached therein to be admitted into evidence and marked as exhibits.
An invoice dated the 28th of May 2018. The invoice number is 000100, and it is addressed to Banjul City Council. It is for the sum of $337,410. An invoice dated 25th of May 2018 from Fatima Trading. The first one is from GMAT. Sorry. The second invoice is from Fatima Trading. It is also dated 25th of May 2018, and it has invoice number 000100. It is addressed to Banjul City Council for the sum of $296,000. The last document is a delivery note from JMAT Furniture and Carpets. It is dated 28th of May 2018, and it has address Banjul City Council, and it is addressed to Mr. Nyang. The delivery number is 0000537. It is signed. The receiver is Makumba Sane. He appended his signature, and his telephone number is also provided therein. These three documents are admitted in evidence as exhibit, and they are marked as LGC/BCC/IN/006.
Ask the Commission, please. Now, after all these problems at BCC, mainly between you and the CEO.
And after problem, we have become head of the BCC, Sadigante Yao, CEO.
You were at some point, I believe it's probably around October.
Then I'm not Jamana Yo Hamne, the fog day, very October.
And November as well.
October, November.
When you received communications from the CEO that you should resume work at the rates unit.
Then Dangawarador rates unit.
Do you recall this?
Mama said through my communication.
Let me check my documents.
So we cancel with dates?
October.
In November 2020,
November
CEO asked that you should return back to work, and then, well, you were already working, to allow working at the rates unit.
We're in November 2020, CEO
As per your transfer.
Transfer, wala yobula see.
On the 15th of June 2021, you was given a letter, a warning letter.
Yes, I was given a warning letter. And there was a letter Tambun Major on the 8th September 2020,
I got
14th September 2020 concerning my transfer to the rates unit.
I have a warning letter concerning the letter that I got on you. The dates, please.
14th September
14th of September and
8th September.
8th September.
Yes.
I have also one more still concerning about the rates redeployment, more the 28th of September.
I have another one.
Attendance for Funono.
I have another one concerning my redeployment. 28th of September.
Yes, can I please see those letters? We apply to tender the following letters. The first is the memo addressed to the rates manager. The date is 28th of September 2020. The second is also a memo addressed to the rates manager. The date is 14th of September 2020. And we have a warning letter addressed to the witness, Ms. Njie, signed by the CEO. The date of the letter is on the 8th of September 2020. To be admitted and marked accordingly.
A letter dated the 8th of September 2020 with reference 29/BCC/P/14/N in brackets 135 is addressed to Ms. Njie Reed's unit. It has the subject, re-warning. It is signed by the CEO. It is copied to the Lord Mayor, Acting Director of Admin, Chairman Establishment Committee, and a file copy is maintained. A memo from the CEO addressed to the rates manager. It is dated the 14th of September 2020. It has the subject, reporting to work at the rates office. It is copied to the Lord Mayor, Acting Director of Admin, Chairman Establishment Committee, and Ms. Njie B.C.C, and a file copy is maintained. A memo dated the 28th of September 2020, it emanated from the Chief Executive Officer. It is addressed to the rates manager. It has subject, attendance. It is copied to the Lord Mayor, BCC, Acting Director of Admin, Chairman Establishment Committee, and Ms. Njie B.C.C, and a file copy is maintained. These documents are admitted together as exhibit in evidence, and they are marked as LGC/BCC/IN/007.
As the Commission praises. Now, Ms. Njie, after all this, you had an issue with the CEO. I believe it was the final encounter with the CEO with respect to a letter he sent to the Local Government Service Commission, and which will subsequently lead to your salary being stopped.
Nena ci kaw li yëpp passé sa diggante ak CEO ak letter bi nga xam ne moom daf ko bindoon nee na tax na li moo taxoon fee bi nga xam ne dañ la ko defee mooy sa salary mu dal di ko stop.
And subsequently you were no longer able to go to work.
Nee na te ci kaw loolu tax na yow mënatuloo dem liggéey.
Please explain that.
Nee na dafa bëgg pour nga leeral ñu foofu.
déedéet balaa loolu kay suspension bi moo jiitu.
No, before that,
indefinite suspension bi.
I was first suspended.
Right.
parce que bu loolu xewee.
When it happens, very well.
We did not complete the interpretations. He said what started was the indefinite suspension.
Very well, thank you, ma. Then what she's saying is that the first thing that have started was the indefinite suspension.
After warning Simbinani, amna yo hamne daf ko copy to the permanent secretary at I think the local service commission.
And some of the warning letters was copied to the local commission and
tahut lolo gaiton to kosilolo.
And there wasn't any response on that.
Hamna momet mu feel ne def ñoñu liggéey defu lim leen a wax.
And I think she feel that they didn't do what he told them.
Momet mu use powers and me send me on an indefinite suspension.
Then there he uses powers and send me for indefinite suspension.
Te bes bu ma issue that indefinite suspension letter be.
And the day I was issued with the indefinite suspension letter,
am na team bu jóge woon GPPA for compliance.
and there was a team who came from the GPPA for compliance.
So head of compliance bu ñëwoon team bu ñëwoon daf ma ooyoon.
The head of the team of compliance that came, he called me.
Parce que year bu ñu laajte by then maa ngi woon biir council.
And because the year they asked, at that year it happens I was in council.
So liñ ma laaj yëpp ma ne ma tontu leen.
All what I was asked, I responded.
So before around 2 si bëccëg rek.
But before around 2 daytime, or that is 2 p.m.
loolu mooy woon 19 October 2020.
This was exactly on the 19th of October 2020.
ma receive an indefinite suspension.
There I received an indefinite suspension.
ne dafa déglu service commission bi.
And he said he will be listening to the service commission.
te daf ma def on half base salary.
And he may put me in half paid salary.
léegi bu loolu xewee.
When that happens,
ma nit ma ñibbi.
I then went home.
After a day or two.
After 1 or 2 days,
man ma dem Dakar.
I traveled to Dakar.
Within that week.
Within that same week,
suma yaay call ma.
My mother called me.
ne ma Auntie Fatou Jiba.
And say Auntie Fatou.
Auntie Fatou Jiba.
Auntie Fatou Jiba.
By then moom mooy woon the director of governance.
And at that time, she was the director of governance.
At the Ministry of Local Government.
The Ministry of Local Government.
So noonu la ko waxee ne ko waxal Aida.
And she said to her, tell Aida.
na ñëwaat mu report back si liggéeyam.
Let them come back and report to her work.
ma ne ko ma laaj suma yaay ne ko xanaa dañ issue any letter boo xam ne dañ waxee ne man dama war a delluwaat pour liggéey.
I then asked my mother whether any letter was given to you that they issue that I should supposed to go back to work.
mu ne déedéet Auntie Fatou Jiba daf ko call rek.
She said no, Auntie Fatou Jiba just call her.
mu ne waaye lu ma mun a def that very day naa try ma ñëpp si waat back home.
She advised me all I should do on that very day. Let me try and come back home.
So noonu laa ñëpp see.
That is how I came back.
ma resume back work si ëllëg si.
The following day I resumed work.
déedéet fekk naa tam letter boo xam ne mu ngi jógee to the CEO.
But I found a letter that came from the CEO.
letter bi.
That letter.
mu ne moom dafa am directives from the ministry.
He said he got directives from the ministry.
ne dama war a resume back to liggéey.
That I supposed to resume back to work.
am na yoo xam ne content letter bi.
But some of the contents of the letter.
dama ree sax.
I just laughed.
parce que yow nga ne yow as a head of institution.
When you say you are the head of the institution.
am na yoo xam ne kenn waru la koo wax.
And there are certain things that nobody should tell you.
so noonu la ma suma yaay waxee ne ma si ëllëg si ma delluwaat liggéey.
And that is how my mother advised me that the following morning let me go back to work.
bi ma demee léegi dooree liggéey.
When I went back to work.
admin manager bi Sandiki Njie.
The acting manager Sandiki Njie.
parce que amoon na dama fa fekk
admin manager Sandiki Njie.
dama fa fekkoon an li electronic li register bu amoon pour attendance staff.
I found their electric register for attendance.
waaw parce que bàyyi ma ko fa woon.
But when I left, it wasn't in there.
So Sandiki advised ma dema.
Then Sandiki advised me.
dam ne nañ ma dugal to the system.
Let me be put in the system.
For future reference parce que daf am na foo xam ne yéene daf dee wax ne comme duma dee ñëw liggéey si.
For future reference because he said that there are certain times that I don't go to work.
wala dama dee late liggéey.
Oh, I do go late.
So daf mu call boy bi install loolu foofu.
Then call the person or the boy who installed that therein.
pour mu make sure ne.
So that you make sure.
dugal nañ ma si système bi.
I am involved in the system.
at first sax dama bañoon.
I refused at the first time.
waaye moom comme moom lim ma dee wax lu nekk daf ma dee guide through.
And because of he do guide me through,
man nangul ko loolu.
I then agree that.
parce que dama ko wax ne ko lii dafa war a jóge from the CEO.
Because I told him this should be from the CEO.
moom it mu wane ma déedéet dugal bul lii loolu man dinaa taay ñu dugal la si système bi.
He said no, don't, because I will try to involve you in the system.
which he did.
Of which he did.
parce que moom si boppam.
Because of he himself.
as the admin manager sax right am la pour mu dugal ma si système bi.
As the acting admin manager, he have a right to put me in the system.
parce que soo seetloo suma redeployment.
Because if you see to my redeployment.
bi ma CEO bindee suma redeployment.
When it was wrote to me for my redeployment.
am na fu ma outline ne pour mu.
I then outlined, there was a portion where I outlined that.
ne na ma bindee suma TOR.
Let them write my TOR.
pour suma nekk si rates unit bi.
For me to be at the rates unit.
waaye loolu ba defu ko bet fu ma waxee yow nii.
And he never did that until today.
te redeployment.
And this redeployment.
fanaa ne dafa waroon a jaar through many channels.
I think it should go through many channels.
moom from the admin manager.
From him, the admin manager.
acting director of administration.
Acting director of administration.
moom the CEO.
He himself the CEO.
mu mujjee to the establishment committee.
And it lasts to the establishment committee.
moo tax ma am a back and forth ak moom parce que gis naa ne it was not a fair treatment bi ma am pour suma redeployment.
This was my reasons why I had a back and front with him, because I saw that it wasn't.
defu ko through the right channel.
It was not put in the right channel.
waaw pour suma redeployment bi dafa waroon a am fu mu jaar.
Redeployment, it have a way how it should be.
waaye moom daf ko def within his own powers.
But he did it within his own powers.
All right. Do you have the letters you have referred to?
Nina letter binga nega di wax mbiram da yanko amé.
mooy letter bi mu binda pour ma resume back to work.
That was the letter that he wrote me to go back to work.
Yes, and the indefinite
an indefinite suspension letter.
Yes,
indefinite suspension.
maa ngi amee letter indefinite suspension.
I have the indefinite suspension letter.
Is there any other document you want to rely on, or any other thing you want to say in your evidence, or is that all?
And am nga benen letter wala amna leneen li nga xamne da nga bëgga sukandi su mom pro li nga xamne war nañ ko dugal.
Ala mooy the letter mooy bu mu starté pour suma redeployment bi.
And I have the letter that he started my redeployment.
ak benn memo of one of the procurement actors, the previous procurement actors, who wanted seen frustration on the CEO.
Yes. And a memo from the predecessor or the last procurement officer which they wrote and showed the frustration under his management.
We apply to tender the following documents. The first is a letter addressed to the witness, Ms. Njie. The date is 19th of October 2020. It is the indefinite suspension letter signed by the Chief Executive Officer. The second is a redeployment letter, 22nd of July 2020, signed by the CEO. And the third is a memo addressed to the Chief Executive Officer from Sankung Fati, Procurement Actor, with the subject, the unprofessional handling of procurement affairs in BCC. This is dated the 14th of February 2018, all to be admitted and marked accordingly.
A memo dated the 14th of February 2018, the memo emanated from Sankung Fati Procurement Actor Admin. It is copied, it is sent to the CEO, and it has the subject, the unprofessional handling of procurement affairs in BCC. The memo is copied to the Chairman, Interim Management Committee, Chief Executive Officer, Director of Admin, PRO, Admin Manager, Manager Internal Audit, Finance Manager, Finance Director, Commissioner BCC Police, Director of Planning and Development, Manager Cleansing Services. A letter dated the 22nd of July 2020 with reference 23/BCC/P/14/N in brackets 135 addressed to Ms. Aida Njie, Acting Procurement Officer, with the subject redeployment. It is signed by the CEO and it is copied to the Lord Mayor, Rates Manager, Chairman Establishment Committee, Chairman Local Government Service Commission, and a file copy is maintained. The last letter is dated the 19th of October 2020. It has reference BCC/P/14/N in brackets 135. It is addressed to Ms. Aida Njie, Rates Unit. It has the subject indefinite suspension. The letter is signed by the CEO. It is copied to the Lord Mayor, Acting Director of Admin, Chairman Establishment Committee, PS Ministry of Local Government and Lands, Chairman Local Government Service Commission, and a file copy is maintained. These documents are admitted together as exhibit in evidence, and they are marked as LGC/BCC/IN/008.
As the Commission places. Now, Ms. Njie, do you have anything you want to discuss apart from this?
Yes, Council.
Yes, Council.
Na yenen pertinent procurements yo hamna yima si suma files before my by Banjul City Council.
I have some documents from procurement files pertaining to the procurement file before I left Council's office.
Benabe is a contracts committee meeting dated 5th February 2020.
The other one is dated 5th February 2020. It's a contracts meeting.
About the continuation of discussion on the proposed council calendar 2020.
On the continuation discussion of the proposed calendar of council 2020.
It's law hamle at the initially oil mawon.
And I was not called initially.
The procurement was done by the then public relation officer of BCC and now the National Assembly member for Banjul North, Mr. Modlaminba.
And the procurement was done by
Honorable Modlaminba.
Honorable Modlaminba.
More from procurement be on this calendar.
He did the procurement on this said calendar.
The fact as a time be passed and upon calendar be.
And it happens the time have elapsed for to have the calendar. And this is not the only one.
More from the procurement of staff ID cards.
He was the one who did the procurement of the staff ID cards.
Global Alliance.
Which he did give to Global Alliance.
USA Gambia Limited.
USA Gambia Limited.
Staff ID cards.
So that they can make a staff ID card for us.
Outside the procurement unit.
And he did that outside the procurement unit.
And
because they do prepare their procurements.
Documentation, it should be brought to me.
And after the documentation should brought to me. For me to make their documentation, which I used to refuse.
Council deployment transfer replacement. Sorry.
And I came back to my deployment, and the person they brought for replacement.
Yes, maybe before that. We can see the documents you're referring to.
Regarding
the two procurement samples that were done outside the procurement unit.
Nena moy ay procurement ñaari procurement yo yi nga xamne dañ ko defon
You said
out
the
of
first outside the
procurement unit.
You said the first was the procurement of calendars.
Calendars, parce
Bu njëkk bi boobu moy procurement of calendars.
te boobu already jox nañ award nañ kiñ ko ku war a defar calendar si ba pare si lañ soo ko oote meeting boobu noonu.
It happens that they have awarded the person who supposed to prepare the calendar, and from there then a meeting was called.
And also you had said in your statement that the time that you had needed the calendar had passed.
Nena te wax nga woon fii ne jamono bi nga xam ne pour calendar bi boobu dafa xaaloon a romba sax.
Dëgg la.
Yes, that's true.
What do you mean by that?
Nena loo mën si loolu.
Parce que calendar soo ko defar foog naa ne dafa war a nekk way before January.
And I think if you are to prepare a calendar, it should be a way before January.
Waaye loolu xewut dafa nekk ne after starting of the year.
That doesn't happen because it happens at the starting of each year.
Starting of the year.
Starting of the year.
No, that is not the correct interpretation. It says, she said, normally it should happen after. For this situation, it happened after the starting of the year.
Very well. What I mean
it
here,
is supposed to be before the starting of the year.
What I'm trying to tell here is that this is supposed to be before the starting of the year, not after the starting of the year.
We applied to tender the Contracts Committee meeting, minutes of meeting dated the 5th of February 2020 into evidence as an exhibit. With the agenda, the continuation of discussion on the proposed council calendar 2020. It was presided over by Mustafa Bachili. And the minutes were prepared by Dawda Jones, Clerk of Council. Into evidence as an exhibit.
The minutes of the Contracts Committee held on the 5th of February 2020 and the said minutes are prepared and signed by Dawda Jones, Clerk of Council. The minutes are copied to the Lord Mayor, Aji Rohimalik Low, Chairman, Finance Committee, and Basiru Ndao. A file of copy is maintained. The attendees were the CEO, Mustafa Bachili, Deputy CEO Fatou Tal, Director of Admin Yusuf Jallo, Finance Mohamed Cham, Planning Katim Toure, Internal Audit Ablai Kor, PRO Modu Elba, and the Procurement Officer Aida Njie. It was presided by the CEO Mustafa Bachili. This minutes of meetings. This minutes of meeting is admitted in evidence as exhibit, and it is marked as LGC/BCC/IN/009.
Ask the Commission, please. Yes, now you can proceed.
Well, Council, for my continue, comme suma digante ak redeployment buñ ma def.
What I want to say is that is my redeployment that was done.
Kin jëlee pour mu replace ma si suma position.
The person they brought to replace me in my position.
Mooy Dado Jallow.
And is Dauda Jallow.
Dado Jallow.
Dado Jallow.
Waaw moom la fii lañ ko jëlee from the finance unit.
He was from the finance unit.
Waaw ñu indi ko pour mu replace ma.
And he was brought to replace me.
Te moom at that time.
For him at that time.
Amutoon any experience on procurement.
He had no experience concerning procurement.
Why culture CEO bi moom si lim baaxoo def mooy.
But the culture of CEO, what he used to do is that.
Moom soo demutee ak bugaam.
If you don't follow what he wants.
daf laa def pour nga redundant.
Then he will make you redundant.
Parce que man suma past years experience with BCC.
But through all my past years experience at the BCC.
Under his leadership.
Njëkka
naa explain démb suma diggante Dawda Hafna.
Yesterday I have explained about between myself and Dawda Hafna.
Parce que kooku dafa bàyyi pour political reasons dafa demoon taxawi election.
Because he left for political reasons and he stands for election.
Te foog naa ne kooku su demee man maa war a ñëw in.
And I think when he left I should be replaced.
Waaye defut loolu.
But he did not did that.
Dafa am kuñ jël on contract.
He have appointed somebody on contract.
Mooy Sankum Fati bi ma la jox mémoom be.
And that is Sankum Fati whom I have given you his memo.
Pour wane frustration nam.
Showing his frustration.
Te yow nga am a staff in council.
And if you have a staff in council.
Te dooroon naa ngeen ne through yéen laa demoon on a training parce que ñoom ñoo defoon the undertaking.
Because they have taken to the training because he got the undertaking.
Waaye feel naa ne ko kii bëggut a gis ne ma pursue my career.
But I see that he don't want me to pursue my career.
Parce que starting out from the Management Development Institute pour def SIPS.
Because I started at the Management Development Institute to do
SIPS, Certificate in Purchasing and Supply.
Certificate in Purchasing and Supply.
Waaye gis naa ne daf ma dok.
But he have cut me short.
Léegi GPPA ñu ñëwaat in pour wane ne dañ need pour ñu train suñ staff say on procurement.
The GPP have stepped in to see to it that they want to train all the GPP staffs on procurement.
Mooy during their exit meeting at the mayor's office.
This was during their exit meetings at the mayor's office.
ñoom ñu wane ne ñoom dinañ try pour pursue suma procurement lead up to any level.
So they see to it that they are ready to assist me to pursue my career up to any level.
Why loolu xewut.
But that doesn't happen.
Parce que the then deputy CEO.
When the then deputy CEO.
moom jëlee undertaking be.
Is the one who took the undertaking.
mu binda GPPA.
I wrote to the GPPA.
pour ne dama war a start suma course bi foofu noonu.
That I should supposed to start my course therein.
Parce que in GPPA.
Because of in GPPA.
certificate nga dee starté.
You start with certificate.
The advanced level.
To the advanced level.
Why moom bi ma dooree.
But me when I started.
ma jeexal suma certificate level bi.
I started and finished my certificate level.
ma indi results pa wane suma performance.
And I brought my results. I showed them my performance.
Parce que suma course coordinator was so happy with me.
Because even my course coordinator was very much happy on me.
Why dañ ma oo to my notice ne Banjul City Council ne ko def fay course be.
But they led me to my notice that the Banjul City Council were not paying.
Mooy bi ma dem pour continue suma diploma level be.
This was the time when I just went to continue my diploma level.
Suma course coordinator bi feelal ma ko parce que moom dafa feel ne among the promising student in GPPA by then.
Coordinator feels for me because he thought that I was the promising student at the time.
Moom sax si boppam laaj na ma ne is there an personal issue between yow ak CEO be.
But he himself then asked me whether there was a personal problem between myself and the CEO.
Parce que ñoom yónnee leen seen financial personnel si pour ñu dem pour affaire suma fay bi.
Because they have sent their personals
pour suma fay
there to see for my payments.
Waaye gars yi nanguwuñ ba léegi fu ma waxee yow nii te def naa diploma ba def exams bi yëpp.
Because till date they did not agree and I did my diploma, I did all the examinations.
te lu ma jaaxal.
And my doubt,
si EU funding bu ñëwoon in BCC.
Yes, I just want to find out from you. Sorry for cutting you short.
It's okay.
The issue of the forged signature that you reported. Did the CEO take any action with respect to that issue?
Not to my notice.
Very well.
Now, the other question is that before you went for your indefinite suspension, did you make any handing over notes?
Dina signo, Madam Chair.
I will enlighten that, Madam Chair.
Parce que amna ci suma statement bi fuma waxé né
there are some in my contents in my statement where I said that
dañ daji suma bunta bi ñu change locks
and that my office door locks was changed.
Te amna suma personal documents yo xamne it went missing.
And some of my personal documents were missing.
Ak suma second hand laptop parce que dama demand on a laptop from council but te nangu ma jox. So man madam journalist ma bop a second hand laptop.
Because I demanded a laptop from council but they refused to give me one. So I went home and brought my second hand laptop which was missing.
So lolu yep everything luma fa bayon yep went missing te laaj na Dado Jallow personally ne ko da fekulo fi li ak li mu ne mom fekul fa dara.
All what I left there was missing and I asked Dado Jallow whether he does not see those things but he said nothing was seen.
Did you write with respect to those missing items, that is your documents plus the laptop, did you write a memo to
me? Sa documents si ak laptop bi nga xamne dafa reeron da nga bind
to your immediate boss?
Danko bind sa boss danko bindon pour yegal ko wala won ko ne amna lu reer.
Wa mom CEO bi mom I'm directly answerable to the CEO.
Yes, but he was answerable directly to the CEO.
Why tontu binana why tontu uma?
I wrote to him but he did not reply.
Parce que amna do not lolu rek.
Not only that.
Parce que amna yenen issues yo xamne dama ko binda sax duma tontu.
There were certain issues of which I used to write to him but there will be no response.
No, now what I'm asking is specifically.
Specifically.
The issue of the laptop and the documents. Did you write to the CEO?
Laptop you ak kayti wala documents nga amne amna yu real fofu neena da nga bindon CEO.
Mom la wax ne la binda na te bala ma binda dama dem personally fofu nonu bima laaje dara ba far.
As I said neena da am nga copy. Yes, as I said, I have written to him and before doing so I went personally to him and informed him. No, I don't have any copies.
Would you be able to give us a copy?
Neena nda mun nga ñu jox ay copy.
Dina ko
so please note that and you will provide the copy.
Neena nga sax nga bind ko pour nga baña faté.
Yes, Council.
Yes, you were explaining something regarding the issue you had with the CEO.
Am nga li nga nekkon di natali fi moy lu doxon sa diganta CEO.
Wa lolu lay ñew en ne mut comme fuma stop moy ne lima jaaxal moy ci EU funding be.
And where I was stopped was that what I wanted to say was my surprise was in EU fundings.
I'm not portion bo xamne it states that there is capacity building for staff.
There was a portion which says the capacity building for staffs.
So luta the lives of man.
Then what happened
Sandigi,
at the time of myself, Sandigi?
Education.
They don't want to pay for us to further our education.
So man fofula joge mal lash daro kom lima wahene ko confirm da fekulo fe
items there she said no she did not.
Te dado bin transfer ñu ko jëlé from the finance unit to promote my position.
When Dado was brought to replace me, she was from the finance.
Biden amul any about procurement.
And that time, she got no knowledge about procurement.
Why lima feel like CEO he's so manipulative?
Because what I feel was that because the CEO was so manipulative.
Daf they feel that mom kim buguta dem fa rek daf la def nga redundant.
Because whoever he don't want you to put you into something, he will make you redundant.
Te nekut rek ne man la ko def.
It's not only me who he did.
There are so many examples in council.
He did it to many people. That is an example.
Like I always say, the likes of Sandegi indil nako somebody by the name Adam Afai. The likes of Sandegi.
Then a live Sandegi mo.
Indil nako ko hamna moy Adam Afai pour mu jël job role ko Sandegi Njie.
Nena amna kenen ku moy indi mutuda.
Adam Afai.
Adam Afai.
Te kokutam she was on contract.
Nena kokutam it neka na contract pour mu jëli place Sandegi.
Ñu ñëwaat ci man.
They came to me.
Ñu indi waat ko xamne he was on intern dañ ko indi as an intern.
They brought somebody to me as an intern.
Lañ ko indi.
They brought him as an intern.
By the name Isaha Sow.
And the name
by the name Isaha Sow. I'm already an officer.
When you already have an officer,
I call him more knowledge about procurement.
And the staff's knowledge is all about procurement.
Why not make use of Coco?
Why don't we make use of that person?
I just got the chance as far as the service commission, but then to recruit a senior procurement officer at the council.
To give him the chance, he or her the chance, because the GPPA, they want to make their capacities for council.
Why? Ojang is not the GPPA, the service commission.
Oh, excuse me, the service commission. Very well.
Why come London def come man lima ko gisee mooy dama indi ko xam ne ki ma mun a enable si suma liggéey ki ma mun a oyofal suma liggéey man suma gis-gis.
For me, what I realize or what I have seen,
dañoo indi ko xam ne dafa yombal seen liggéey si seen buga buga.
They will bring somebody who will ease their work on what they wanted.
Parce que ki ma tura in person mooy Isaha Sow.
Because the person I'm calling here, that is Isaha Sow.
Bokk naa ko si ko xam ne ñëw na fekk ma ba suma office pour ne dafa bëgg a enroll pour def procurement.
Because he came to my office personally and said to me that he want to enroll so that he can be a procurement officer.
Parce que by the daf ma wana yow lan ngay def BCC procurement daf fi doxut sax.
Because he used to tell me, what are you doing at BCC? Because BCC, the procurement is not even functioning.
Why after lima gis moy Kenya ki dafa am a hidden agenda.
But what I realize or what I see is that he had a hidden agenda.
Parce que by then moy won the Banjul Youth Committee chairman or chairperson.
Because at that time he was the Banjul Youth Committee chairman.
Man, I'm on a time in 2014-2015, I was wanting to vie for the position of the public relation officer of Banjul Youth Committee.
And there was a time in 2014-15.
Lamaron Buga, the position of a PRO.
I wanted the position of a PRO.
You want my name BCC, nakakuilige in council, hold those kinds of positions.
And I was told whoever is working at council, you are not supposed to hold.
Telolu heuna while king wahamna momoy chairman youth committee bi momo wara ñew delegate BCC.
That had happened because he was the chairman of the youth council, youth
committee,
and he came and he started working at council.
Now, if you had agreed to the demands of the CEO, for instance, the example is the procuring of the trucks or the dustbins, where the process will commence, and they will need you to just come and ratify. To just sign documents without being even present or where they are discussing to follow the due process. And the issues regarding with Keba and Sons as well. And so many malpractices in procurement.
Malpractices procurement.
Spearheaded by the CEO, of course. So if you had agreed with him,
nee na su fekkee ne kon da nga nangoon si lu mu bëggoon.
do you not think that your tuition would have been paid?
nee na fooguloo ne loolu soo ko defoon kon gis nga ne sa jànga bi tuition fee bi dañ koy fay.
Your tuition would have been paid?
Lulu de council, Nesma agree one with what he wants.
That is true, council. Hadn't I have agreed upon what he wanted? Probably I may not have all these, problems.
Why not integrity?
But everybody have to guide your integrity.
Come, all of them go here.
As the saying goes.
Sulaman nan tahe nan potit supompe ubedingarus.
When an elder make you to drink, excuse me.
But Mr. Boga, if you cannot interpret, don't attempt to try to interpret.
Very well.
All right? I think we can have Honorable Sila to help us in the interpretation of what he said.
Can you repeat so that he can hear you?
Maleko kom tay sumanangu to won selim limbugar kom tay sulan marnan to henan potit su pompe ubedinga rus.
Okay, I don't want to go to a direct translation, but what she's simply saying is when times are hard, you should ensure that you maintain your integrity. Don't lose it. That's what the proverb is talking about. Otherwise, it will be direct translation and it will sound very, very funny.
Thank you. Very well.
Thank you, Ms. Njie. Yes.
All right. You had explained on several occasions regarding, with respect to the disregard of procurement laws and regulations and the rules therein. She explained how BCC disregarded procurement laws or rules or regulations or practices.
Then I want to feel BCC nyom neka na nyom hamne dañ disregard birmi ni ngeen de doxale loi bi ni ko terale ak yoon bi nga xamne bobu la procurement teral pour bi ngeen wara dox li nga xamne lool mo jaar dañ ko faloñ ko wala topuñ ko sax.
In fact, it is a total disregard to the rules.
Nena neka na lo xamne total disregard si rules yi nga xamne yoy ngeen amé fofu procurement.
This was also flagged by the Gambia Public Procurement
Authority. Gambia Public Procurement Authority si bopam dañ ko leral ne lu am la fofu.
We have seen the documents and the communications therein.
Nena gis nañ kayit yi te am nañu ay tamit ay communication yi nga bari.
You've also shown a letter. You've also tendered a letter from Sankung Fati. The procurement actor at the time at the admin department.
Procurement actor department council.
Addressed to the chief executive officer.
Chief executive officer CEO.
The date of which is 14th of February 2018.
February 2014. 2018.
Addressing the same issue. With the subject, the unprofessional handling of procurement affairs in BCC. The letter reads, with reference to the subject above, I regret to bring to your notice the many unprofessional observance of procurement procedures in BCC. I intend to bring to the attention of the management that the finance director has, in many instances, failed to respect the set rules, procurement procedures. He has repeatedly called the suppliers directly to negotiate on price, quantity, and delivery of goods and service, and delays my procurement transactions and often neglects procurement procedures. It is enough to say that the finance director has usurped the role of the procurement actors in BCC. It is my fervent belief that procurement must and should follow best practice in line with international standard which governs the ethics of our profession. I want to urge the management, particularly manager, internal auditor, BCC, to be watchful as any deviation of best practice in procurement could have a negative implication in the reputation of BCC and myself as a trained procurement specialist. It is imperative that the head of procurement unit should be part of the contract committee, and all procurement works should be done by a procurement specialist. And the chief executive officer, please note, it is also important to note that the works and service unit of BCC have also continued to disregard procurement rules. The head of this unit has, in many instances, conducted procurement without the involvement of specialized procurement unit. I need not to remind anyone, procurement has procedures and rules outlined by GPPA, and it is my role to ensure strict compliance of norms and ethics of the procurement profession. Equally, the finance manager prints request forms for many individuals without the prior involvement of SPU. This action negates the responsibility of procurement actors, as any staff could pick request forms and carry out procurement activities without the knowledge of specialized procurement unit. As such, the finance manager is professional urged to control the issuance of request forms to staff without the due process of procurement unit. All procurement should be handled by the procurement specialist except the procurement of arms according to Procurement Act. As the procurement specialist of BCC, I will not want to associate myself with any deviation of the set rules and professional conduct of procurement practices. This BCC should comply with rules of procurement set by GPA. I remain committed to the service of the nation. Best regard. He signed the letter. He had copied the chairman, interim management committee, the chief executive officer, the director of admin, the PRO admin manager, the manager internal auditor, finance manager, finance director, commissioner BCC police, director of planning and development, and the manager cleansing services. Yes, so I believe you have met Sankum Fati in person?
Well, meet now in person.
Yes, I do meet him in person.
And so it's the same problems that Mr. Fati had with BCC when he was there that you have encountered.
Nena family mom Fati problem hamne mom amna ko BCC bu fané kon yo tam big fanya da family bena problem bila bobu nga amé on fofu.
Wa the same problem la rek parce que the family is continuous process like I don't use parce que sankum si bopam fofu la ma feka.
It's all the same problem because it's a continuous process because Sangong himself fired me there.
Fofu la ma feka wa CEO be si bopam dafa feel pour mu def ma redundant.
But the CEO, he found me there, but the CEO himself wished to make me redundant.
On contract.
This is why he brought Sankum Fati on contract.
Right, Ms. Njie, on our side, thank you very much for your testimony. Unless there are questions from the commissioners, they will ask you questions for you to clarify or answer, but we are grateful to the evidence provided or stated by the witness.
Commission members lo xamne dañ bëgga pour nga léral len dañ la laccé pour nga léral len néna way jërëjëf jëf ci sa woné bi ak sa ñawaay bi.
Mr. Bojang, you can just refer them to the honorable commissioners, not the high table.
Very well, honorable commissioners.
Thank you so much, late council.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the ratification, council.
The commissioners don't have question for you, Ms. Njie. Thank you for coming, and you are discharged. Should, in the event that we want you to come and clarify any further issue, we will call you. Thank you for the evidence you have given to this commission.
Thank you so much, Ma, and thank you, honorable commissioners.
Do you have any? Mr. Jai, you are discharged.
Thank you,
may
ma'am.
go.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I think it's almost 1 o'clock. We may rise.